Welcome to Sit, Stay, Read, the podcast for every wag, whinny, and whisker. I'm Kathleen Donnelly, award-winning author and retired canine handler. Each week, I chat with novelists about the bond we share with our furry friends and how they inspire stories. Grab a coffee, get cozy with your favorite pet. It's time to sit, stay, read. Well, today I am thrilled to welcome Rebecca Minelga, and she's here to chat about her heartwarming romance, Third and Long, which is a Paw Prints on My Heart book number 1. And it's a story that's been scoring big with readers and earning some serious tail-wagging praise. Rebecca, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you on, and I'd love for you to give us an overview about Third and Long. It was a fantastic book, and you got your copy there. So, yeah, everyone needs to run
Yeah.
out and get this. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. So Third and Long is the story of Abby. She's a trauma survivor who is sublimating her pain and grief into her work with her therapy dog, Jen, caring for patients and their family in a local pediatric oncology department. So kids with cancer. When she meets Dylan and his single father, because it is a romance, she is
It is.
challenged to reevaluate everything that she thinks she knows about strength, resilience, grief, recovery, and a second chance at both love and life.
Oh, I love it. And it was fantastic. And all of your characters were great. I think one thing as a reader, not necessarily as a writer, but as a reader, is when I sit down and go start reading a book, if the characters feel like they're actually out there and exist, then I know the author did a great job. And you did that. And of course, I have a favorite character, and that would be the dog. That would be Jen, the therapy dog. And I was just curious, is she based off of any dogs you've had?
Yeah, Jen is a fan favorite across the board. She was so much fun to write. And she is very much an amalgamation of several of the dogs that I've had. So I work primarily with Labradors, which are the most wonderful, loving, sweet, even-tempered, food-motivated dogs you could ever ask for. In the story, you'll notice that Jen has a little bit more spirit, a little bit more spunk. And so I also pulled on some of my background working with herding breeds prior to my work working with labs. Corgis, Australian cattle dogs, hold a really special place in my heart. They are too smart, and they are the ones that are going to have that intuition, that built-in intelligent disobedience, the ability to read
Mhm.
the room, to make decisions on their own. And so a lot of Jen's personality was drawn from my love of the herding breeds, along with the nurturing aspect of working with service dog labs for almost 20 years now.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, labs are the best, and I love the herding breeds too. We actually had a border collie lab cross with our company, and he was too smart to be a drug dog. He had other plans in mind, and Jen reminded me a little bit of him. So I also want to add in, just in case someone starts reading the book, we have a little hiccup with Jen in the book, but I'm going to go ahead and do a spoiler alert here. Jen is okay. Would you like to fill us in a little more on that?
Jen is okay, absolutely. So I know that there are a lot of people that will not pick up a dog book if they don't know from the start that the dog is going to make it through the book. And so, yeah, it's a spoiler alert, but the dog is going to make it despite her hiccup. And her hiccup is going to help teach Abby and some of the other characters what it means to trust in the process, and to show them how much they've grown throughout their own stories. So she makes it. She's okay.
Yes, yes, she is. And I was relieved. I was a little worried there for a minute, but tell us a little bit more about Abby and how she connected with Jen and some of her background and her going into the hospital and working with kids. I really enjoyed that.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Abby is based really heavily on some of my own mental health challenges and the process of working through grief and trauma alongside anxiety, depression, PTSD. And so writing her was such a therapeutic experience for me in many ways. And her relationship with Jen really reflected a lot of what my work in the service dog industry has meant to me over that period of time where I was really struggling. That idea that there's something that needs me to get up in the morning and make sure
Mhm.
that it's okay. And that might be the only thing that drags me out of bed today, but I'm going to do it because they're counting on me. And so for Abby, this really becomes this lifeline. I was incredibly lucky to be surrounded by friends and family, an incredibly supportive husband. I have two of the most wonderful children, and they have all walked through this journey with me. I have some of the most emotionally self-aware children you will ever meet
Nice.
because they've walked this journey. We've done it all together. And so, writing it from the perspective of Abby, who's very alone at the start of this book,
Mhm.
and very purposefully alone. She doesn't want to burden others with what she's feeling. And then the growth that she has to realize that that independence needs to shift to interdependence. And then the role that Jen plays, just opening that door, she really starts as this deflection at the beginning of the story. Abby doesn't have to talk about herself because she can talk about her dog. And then as she grows through her own process of recovery, finding out who she is, and all of a sudden you get to the end, and she herself is a fully formed person outside of her position as Jen's handler. And she's discovered that for herself as well.
I love that. And you had a line in the book, and I'm gonna try to remember it. Hopefully I don't screw it up, but where she mentions, well, the handler wants to be introduced first or something along that line. And I had to laugh at that because when I was working the dogs, I always joked I wore the name tag because no one could remember my name, but everyone remembered the dogs. Everyone knew the dogs, and they really do help us through some emotionally troubling times, and it can happen at any time in anyone's life. And I love Dylan. Is he based a little bit off of your sons? Or I know that's you probably had to separate it some, but what a great
A little
character.
bit. Yeah, it's such a great example of life imitates art and then art imitates life. So my oldest son was about 6 when I was writing this book. So I was
Okay.
kind of growing him up just a little bit in my head. What's he going to be like when he's 9?
Nice.
He is a swimmer. He does play trumpet.
Okay.
Um, and then a little bit of life imitating art right about at the same age that Dylan is when he has his accident. My son actually fell and had the exact same accident.
Okay.
And we ended up at our local children's hospital here in Seattle. And all I could think was, I wrote this into being because it ended up literally being the exact same injury on the same arm at the same age. And we laughed about how life was imitating art.
That's amazing. I love that. You were like, I'm psychic.
Right? No more injuries for children. I can't write
That's right.
anymore.
No more. Yeah. Well, and then this is your debut fiction, right? Third and Long
Mhm.
is your first. You have other books and other essays, but I'd love to hear a little more. We've talked about the therapy dog and stuff like that, but what else inspired this fantastic love story? It's such a great romance.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I am originally from New England in the 90s and the 2000s. So go Patriots. They're not doing so hot right now, but I definitely grew up in a football home, have a lifelong passion for football. So that was a huge part of how and why this story got written the way that it did. Obviously, the dogs are hugely important. And as I said, I have the most amazing, supportive, wonderful family. So the main male character, Scott, is based really heavily on my husband. Just
Nice.
that really easygoing, heartfelt, cares deeply, incredibly passionate, the type of person that will just show up every single time. Um, And so it was so easy to write him in many ways because I had such a great relationship to draw on. Uh, Giving him some foibles was probably the challenge there that he's not allowed to be perfect because then that's no fun.
Nope.
But in writing the sequel, I'm definitely running into I can't just write the same character again. I can't base it all on my husband again. I have to find a new person to be inspired by.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And we're going to talk about your future books here in a few minutes. But Scott was he was just a fantastic character. And I really liked him. And I was rooting for him and rooting for Abby and for them to come together before I even knew he was a football player. So right from the start, it is that way. And I'm with you. I enjoy football. I'm a Bears fan, so I feel your pain on the losing
Hmm.
seasons. I think we've had a lot more than you guys have, but
Yeah, we're
we won't.
definitely we're in a rut right now.
Yeah, yeah, the Bears have been in a rut for a while, so we'll see. Well, one of the things I also loved with the book, and this is as a retired canine handler reading it, you made a really great distinction between therapy dog, service dog. And I think that's something that confuses many people. So I would love to have you explain to our audience the differences and just kind of go into more detail on that.
Yeah, absolutely. We do run into that in public all the time that a lot of these words are used really interchangeably by lay people without really understanding that they are trained differently, they serve different purposes. And so, as a service dog handler, part of the educational piece of that, or I guess a service dog puppy raiser, part of the educational piece of that is helping people understand some of those distinctions. And I'm super lucky that I actually just registered my very first therapy dog. So a lot of this
Cool.
was written aspirationally, and we are now
Oh,
actually actively working as a team. With the therapy dog that I just registered. So it's super cool to get to be on the other side of things, the therapy dog
okay.
instead of the service dog side, and to be able to share some of that from the other side. Um, and so the main difference is that a service dog is partnered with a handler or a client that needs the tasks that that service dog can provide. It's a one-to-one relationship, and that service dog is specifically trained to do certain things to help assist with or to mitigate challenges, whether those are physical or mental or emotional. A therapy dog is handled by a person for the emotional support of other people. So when I take my therapy dog into an event, she and I are working together to care well for the people that we are
Okay.
visiting. And so I wouldn't ever leave her with them. I don't even hand over the leash, but she provides the love, the cuddles, the snuffling in the ear. There's this scene in the book where Jen is
That's
whispering secrets in Scott's ear, and that's based really heavily on just the kids love it when our pups do something like that. And it's a crowd pleaser every time. And so those things that allow a person to just have a moment of connection with a furry, cuddly, wonderful, sweet dog.
yeah.
There's so much research out there showing how much that benefits people. Heart rates go down, stress indicators go down
Mhm.
almost immediately. So the therapy dog realm is one that I'm super excited to be getting into now. And I'm super excited to see where research takes us in the next several years because I think there's some incredible research being done both for service dogs and therapy dogs. And I think we're going to see these kinds of interventions really pick up in some of our higher stress environments, whether that's for first responders, whether that's in the classroom, whether that's in medical facilities. They really are going to be cutting edge for helping the recovery process in the coming years, I think.
I think so too. And I would be curious. I would love to know more. I know just a little bit about the tests therapy dogs have to pass because it's not an easy, and same with service dogs. There's a lot of training, a lot of tests, but I think a lot of people think, oh, if I just have a nice, friendly dog, they can go be a therapy dog. But I know, like for instance, I have a black lab. He's my retired canine, and he's a lover, and he would not pass the test. Some of it was his drug dog training, but would you tell us a little more about that? What you had to go through? Because it's a lot.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It is. I was surprised after 18 years raising service dog puppies. I felt like I was very prepared for whatever this would throw at me. And as I was going through my handler training, the organization that I ended up working with has about 9 sessions of online training that are about 45 minutes each. So, from a time perspective, it is not light. It's a huge
Yeah.
time commitment just to get through the online handler training. And then on top of
Wow.
that, each session comes with now here's your homework of how you're going to go out into public and be working with your dog to prepare them for their evaluation. And again, I was working with a dog that had actually gone through guide dog school. She had passed guide dog school. She had been placed in class and partnered. Her partner ended up having to go home. And so she was then taken out of class and ultimately medically career changed a couple of months later, which is why we were lucky enough to be able to adopt her and bring her home. Um,
Okay.
but again, I went into it with this idea that this is a dog. Her obedience is spectacular. Her work ethic is phenomenal. She's always been this wonderful, cuddly, loving dog. She's not going to need anything to prep for this. And as I was going through the training, realizing how much was involved in it was like being back as that brand new puppy raiser, where I don't even know what I don't know. I just know I don't know anything. Uh, so I was really surprised at how much work she and I had to do to grow some of those skills. Our evaluation, I think, was 6 pages written, and it included something like 20 different evaluation components. And it was everything from sit and down, basic obedience, to responses to loud noises. Somebody dropped a pair of crutches and they were
Okay.
looking to see what her response was to the loud noise, how quickly she recovered. How did she respond to a wheelchair? How did she respond to a cane? How did she respond when a crowd of people just descended on her and all wanted to pet her at the same time?
Yeah.
Um, and that's not something we see a lot when we're doing guide dog training because a lot of times we have to say, no, I'm sorry, she's working. She can't be pet right now.
Yeah.
So she and I learned a lot through that process. We did end up passing, so we're super excited.
Congratulations.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Thank you. And then she and I will be we're doing some corporate work locally, and then we're also working with 2 local school districts. So she'll be working in schools starting in the fall, particularly
Nice.
around high need students, students with bullying, and then state testing, because the kids always get super
Yes.
stressed with state testing.
They do. We worked in schools, and if someone was going to call in a bomb threat to get out of testing, it was always around the state testing
Hmm.
time. I shouldn't laugh at it, but it was like, oh, but it's just because they are so stressed. So it's fantastic that you're going in and doing that because the kids do get, and the teachers too, the staff
Yeah,
as well. So it's not just kids.
yeah,
So I want to make sure we get into some of your guide dog work because that's been amazing. I mean, I when I got on your website, there was a trailer for, and I love it, you called it a documentary, which I thought was fantastic. Pick of the litter. And it seems both uplifting and a tearjerker. I was like already needing a Kleenex just watching the trailer. Can you tell me just a little bit about your work with the guide dogs and the documentary and all
yeah,
of that?
absolutely. So I've been raising puppies, guide dog puppies, for about 18 years now. And in 2016, we received an invitation to be involved in a joint project between Guide Dogs for the Blind and KTF Films. They wanted to follow a litter of guide dog puppies from the time that they were born all the way through their training and into whatever their future ended up holding. And so we agreed to be a part of that project. We felt incredibly lucky to be asked. And we got a beautiful little yellow lab named Primrose. And so we had the film crew kind of follow us for the next 14 months or so
Okay.
as we went through the process of raising this guide dog puppy. They were also following the four other puppies in the litter, of course.
Nice.
And then in 2018, the film premiered in Park City, Utah during Sundance was the film
Fantastic.
festival. They
Okay.
were actually they premiered across the street at Slam Dance.
Okay.
But it was the same weekend. Everybody was in town. I actually got to go to the premiere with a guide dog puppy. We were recognized everywhere. We got stopped constantly because they had kind of seen some of those early viewings of the film, and it was a great experience. We loved every second of it. Um, so yeah, since then we've raised a total of 16 puppies. 13 of them
Nice.
have gone through advanced training. Number 14 is there right now. We've had two breeders, so two dogs that have gone on to become the mother of the future generations.
Okay.
One ended up as a diabetic alert dog with a partner organization. She couldn't quite make it as a guide dog, but she is a phenomenal diabetic alert dog. I've had two medical career changes, and the other eight have all become working guides.
It's
And then
fantastic.
number 15 and 16 are still here with us going through their basic training.
Okay. Oh, that's great. And where can we watch Pick of the Litter? Where is it playing?
It is widely distributed now. So I know
Okay.
it's on Amazon. I believe it's
Okay.
on Apple TV. It is also, I think you can rent it on YouTube, and a lot of libraries have copies of it via
Okay.
DVD. And I'm always surprised at how many people tell me that they watched it on an airplane. So I don't
Oh,
know who does
cool.
the distributing for airplanes, but that is where the vast majority of people end up telling me that they saw it was on a flight on an airplane.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, the next time I fly, I'll have to.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna look for it because it just the trailer just I was hooked. I'm like, I want to see this. So, what happens to a guide dog if they flunk out? Do you take them then? Or do you get first dibs on adopting them or?
There is a process that we go through, and I can only speak for the organization that I work with. I can't speak for
Okay,
other organizations. And
sure.
so when a puppy is deemed not a good candidate for guide work, the first thing they do is they reach out to their partner organizations or their community partner organizations. So I like to think of guide work as like the Navy SEALs of service dogs. It is
Yeah.
one of the hardest forms of service dog training that a dog can go through. And
Okay.
so when a dog isn't quite cut out for that, but they have incredible skills, we let our partner organizations know that might be for PTSD work, that might be for hearing, that might be
Okay.
diabetic alert. And so we have a whole bunch of different community organizations that we'll send that dog's profile out to. And then those organizations will let us know if they're interested in that dog. And then
Okay.
they'll intake the dog into their program. If the dog is not a good candidate for that, they'll be released from training, and at that point, the raisers do have the first option to adopt the dog, or they
Okay.
can opt for the organization to place the dog through their adoption program.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so
That's
there's
great.
definitely a tree that you work through
Yeah.
to get to the final stage.
That's so fascinating. Well, that's great. And I'm glad they all end up doing what they are meant to do. So, because every dog needs they're meant for different jobs. So,
Yeah.
uh,
We specifically call it career changing, not flunking, because every
I
dog
love that.
finds its career. Sometimes that career is a beloved family pet.
Yes. You know what? That's a good way to put it. We always would say our dogs would flunk out, but I like career change much better. Yeah, that sounds a whole lot better. Um, I know you have another book coming out in the Paw Prints on My Heart series. So, would you like to give us a little teaser of that and when it's coming out?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, life imitating art. I wrote the sequel, the first draft last summer, and
Okay.
it follows one of the side characters from Third and Long. So it's not a direct sequel. It's kind of exists in the same world. You're going to see some of the same characters, but it's going to follow one of the side characters. And she is a teacher in a school that has an incident, and a therapy dog is brought in to help her and her students recover from that
Nice.
incident. And the handler is a young man who's taking some time off from being a firefighter after he had an incident during a call where he fell through the floor and was severely injured. And
Okay.
so each of these characters is going to bring their vulnerabilities, their emotional vulnerabilities, their physical vulnerabilities to the table. And this very lighthearted, bubbly, happy person who's dealing with the very first deep, dark things in her own soul is going to meet this very grumpy, recovering firefighter who just wants to get back to his real life. And this therapy dog gig is kind of on the side for now to keep him busy until he can get back to real life. And he's going to go through really the ringer. He is meant to capture and encapsulate the reality of what it is to live with a life-altering change. Um,
Okay.
whether that is a mental health life-altering change or whether that's a physical life-altering change, he's going to have to learn how to deal with the reality that this is what life is now. I don't get to go back to what I was before. So how do I go forward from here?
Oh, I love that. I look forward to reading it. And I apologize. What's the title for that one?
That one is False Start.
Full start. Okay. And
Yes.
that'll be great. Well,
Yes.
it is it's been great to have you on the show, and I'd love for readers to know where to connect with you and where they can find your books and find out about
Yeah.
the future releases, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. So the books are widely distributed. You can find them anywhere that you get your books. I can be found. My website is RebeccaMinelga.com, RebeccaMinelga.com. You can sign up for my newsletter there, it goes out once a month and it has all the latest updates. It also includes bonus deleted scenes from Third and Long. So if you want a little bit of behind the scenes, go sign up for that newsletter. And then I am on Facebook, Twitter/X, Blue Sky, and Instagram. All of those are at Rebecca Minelga.
Fantastic. Well, huge thanks for coming on and joining us today. And remember, everyone, Third and Long isn't just a touchdown for romance readers. It's a heartfelt, tail-wagging journey full of charm, emotional, and unforgettable characters. So make sure you grab your copy today. Until next time, keep your tails wagging and pages turning. Thanks for joining me today. Sit, Stay, Read is a part of the Authors on the Air Global Network. If you enjoyed today's author interview, be sure to leave a review and share the episode with a fellow animal-loving reader. If you're curious about the world of working dogs and wilderness adventures, please check out my books at KathleenDonnelly.com. Until next time, curl up with your best furry friend and sit, stay, read.